Jason, you ready?
Yeah, man. As they say in preschool, it's time to learn letters and numbers, you fucking cocksuckers.
I wouldn't be taking on the role of Corbin seriously unless I asked you if you were already ready after you said you were already ready.
It's true.
JJ, keep that in. Hey everyone, welcome to another special edition of Brainstorm Brewery. We are Corbinless this week. We are 8,000 pounds lighter. We are going to be a fast, efficient finance machine. No awful stories about being trapped in France. No awful milk-related rehab incidents. We have a great guest this week. We have Jason All. We have Douglas Johnson. We are going to be firing on all cylinders. Corbin is completely out of commission. Jason, how you doing?
Being Corbinless should be a Patreon perk. Like, when we get to $2,500 a month on Patreon.
I was going to say, $0? $0
No, when we get to $2,500 a month on Patreon, we just, do one episode a month without Corbin, guaranteed.
You'll get someone to do it.
I could fuck with that.
Oh, anybody got a special guest with them that they're drinking? Anybody?
I do. I have a Rodenbach Grand Cru. For those of you who like sour beers, it's fantastic. It tastes a lot like balsamic vinegar. It's great.
Yeah.
Interesting. And that wonderful voice you just heard was none other than the Proxy guy on Twitter, creator of a lot of famous
Proxies
art pieces that have made it
famous.
Yeah,
creative. You were going to say Proxies, weren't you?
You've been on the front page of Reddit a lot. You've made it into the hundreds on your Twitter retweets and all that.
Yeah, so I've had some that hit 1,000. They weren't magic related though.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It was
no,
it was a something that
it's political.
No, it wasn't political. It was Neil deGrasse Tyson posted something about being shirtless, and I said, "Don't worry, only 7 million of us have seen it." And a whole bunch, since it was the first reply, it got a lot of likes, which are going away apparently.
Well, that's what the Proxy guy is known for, not for making proxies.
Not at all.
This is obviously somebody you have heard of based on your following of Neil deGrasse Tyson and your interactions on Twitter within the first couple minutes of him posting shirtless pictures. So
I hope Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't start interacting with magic people on Twitter. Actually, the star of extinction, when it entered our atmosphere and was sheared off...
Falling star doesn't work. It destroys everything.
It wasn't actually a star at that point when it was a meteorite once it entered our atmosphere.
It wouldn't hit the atmosphere, right? The atmosphere would boil away as the star got closer.
Hopefully.
Let's ask Neil deGrasse.
Or not.
And then someone's going to say, but it's banned anyway.
Or you just hold up a stuffy doll when you play Star of Extinction.
Cool. That was a good Neil deGrasse Tyson riff that you guys just nope, we're going to step right on that. That's good.
Why not?
Don't let me go. We got to keep this episode structured. If I start to get on a comedic riff, you guys got to be like, no, let's talk about Magic the Gathering. What's good?
I thought
Rein
we
me in.
Flowing off that. Okay.
Rein me in.
No.
Make sure I don't have any fun on this episode.
Have all the fun you want.
Thank you for permission.
So, Proxy guy,
I'm the only non-guest here. Why am
I? You're the only host here, Jason.
I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know if commissioned is the right word because I don't know if anybody's heard, but the Proxy guy does not sell proxies. Whether you may have heard differently or
this
otherwise.
This is a real rude way to just real early in the episode, but why don't
just
we talk about that?
Let's just start that immediately. I'll say right into the camera and say, I do not sell proxies. Stop asking. Thank you.
How many messages on average a week do you get asking?
More on Instagram now than Twitter because I started there just posting. So they're not symbiotic as far as communities go. So they're very sheltered from what Twitter knows, and they don't know that I don't sell them. So, and it's harder on Instagram because you can't zoom in on the picture to actually see that it says not for sale on it. So
it's got to be irritating to everybody who asks to buy proxies from you means well, right? There's I gotta support you in some way.
They just want to support me in some way that doesn't involve them spending $4,000 on a Lotus.
But it's the millionth time you've been like, I don't sell proxies. So
it's kind of like
for you, but like it's
hand on my head, and it's just like that's why my panned response is now my profile contains all of the information you require because it's the first line is I don't sell proxies. So they can at least go and look at it and go, oh, maybe I should have read that first.
Oh, here's his address. Oh, I'm dumb.
Here's where you send the money. You don't.
Now, people just want to support you on principle, and even though they can't
Which is true.
purchase your proxies, what is something they can do if they're
I get to do this before you do it? You can go to patreon.com/
Brainstorm Brewery and get one of these handsome drinking glasses.
For $20, you can get a drinking glass from Jason eventually. Or you
okay, they came. As long as we're derailing you, all 288 glasses showed up at my house in 4 boxes that the UPS put these stickers on and said 80-pound boxes. And 80-pound box means only stack them 2 deep. Don't stack them 4 deep. Yeah, so...
How many of those 288 do you still have?
I haven't encountered any broken ones because the company, the good company, see, here's the old one and here's the new one. They're like identical, right? I just said, I think the pink on the brain looks a little bit better, but other than that, it's etched on there with the fire and everything. It's the beer is the color of your beer. It's perfect. You're not going to mess up in the dishwasher. I ordered 288. If that's not enough, we can always order more. Now that
if that's enough, something is gone.
Well, here's the deal. I said I wanted everybody that got the shitty glasses to get good glasses.
Yes.
So if
and I have gotten your emails for those people who are wondering that question. I have gotten your emails. We have been corresponding them to Jason, and you will get your replacement glasses if you got the awful ones.
It costs us more to ship than it does the glasses, but like we don't care. You guys are really generous. Our Patreon's doing really well, and we want to blow all the money, so I don't mind dropping $600 at the post office. So it's just a thing that happens.
You don't even need to go to the post office.
Yeah, I do.
You just need to get out of the house? Or you don't trust your mail carrier?
No, it's...
Would the mail carrier actually pick up, like, that many...
You can set that up. I never understood why people go to the post office for this all the time. Everything you can do at the post office, you can do from your home.
They're giant. I don't have the infrastructure with the labels and the knowing the exact postage. I don't have the scale that weighs up to like 10 pounds. I don't.
Do you have 2 minutes to learn it? I mean, it's not hard.
I do it for smaller stuff, but for the big stuff, some of it goes. I got to fill out a customs form and send the shit to Canada. Yeah. Like it's not just a simple thing of like I can slap a stamp on it.
You can still do that at home. Or you can.
I'd have to weigh it. And
all right.
I don't have a big enough.
If you want me to, I can hawk stamps.com. Who will send you a free scale.
You know, Stamps.com would be a good replacement for Squatty Potty. So anyway...
your free postage would be great, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna do the TeeSpring. That's the thing we're doing now. So just send us an email if you got shitty glasses. We'll send you good ones. If you're a new $20 patron, you're getting glasses. And, yeah, I think that's it. If you haven't gotten any glasses, you'll get good ones. If you got shitty ones, you'll get good ones.
And the TeeSpring refund.
The TeeSpring refund, same. We have the show notes will have the directions. We're going to launch a new campaign. You'll use the credit you get to buy a new shirt or whatever you bought before. Just use that credit to buy what you want of better looking shirts. Once you send the old ones in for a refund, and we will refund whatever it costs you to ship back to TeeSpring. Because I made a mistake, so I will correct it. They didn't let us just buy you all new shirts because they're idiots who hate money, and this is going to cost them way more money.
That's not wrong. Yeah.
I mean, when we had Jacob Van Loonen be like, "Oh, I know my brother was roommates with the guy who owns TeeSpring. Let me put in a good word," and we still couldn't get it worked out the way I wanted, which is just I write a check for $2,000 that says "oops," and then you guys all get shirts. Wouldn't let us do it, so you're gonna have to do it the hard way. Just we'll pay for your shipping. I messed up. I'm sorry, but I'll make it up to you with a refund and I don't know, 288 glasses to send out. So we're busy. I wish we had an intern to handle the Patreon, but
I have more tokens and playmats shipping out at the end
tokens
of
and
the month.
playmats shipping out, including our new tokens that are going to be forthcoming. We are getting and
Are we revealing that yet?
yeah.
I don't think that's revealed.
Well, then JR could just beep it out.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, JJ can just like bleep.
I might have had something to do
Like
with that
for all
too.
you guys know, he said we're getting like shit soldiers and we're getting like
what's a shit soldier?
yeah.
The Dolgothan.
Yeah, that's a golem though.
fucking-
The Golgothan's a
We're
golem.
getting fucking sex and shit
I guess he's
soldiers.
a
Shit
Golem,
soldiers.
technically.
Yeah,
Except
well,
he's from
was
living
literally
matter.
a golem, right? Like he was like the golem from the Torah,
Oh,
right?
I'm only thinking of the movie one.
The Dogma.
Yeah.
All right. I thought he was a. That's all right. Don't worry. I guess it wouldn't be a Jewish thing if it was from Golgotha, huh? That was very Christian. Whatever, man. Let's not debate the finer
There's no
points of-
rails. There's no rails at all whatsoever.
I just wanted to derail your Patreon pitch so hard, and
You did. And I want people to send you money because all they can do is give me $1 and I can't give them anything for it.
What do they get as a?
They get
being
because
a
I
patron?
can't sell them, which means if you're paying me to view them exclusively, I'm selling them to you. So you get a 1 week early preview of everything that I put up, and I do it every Monday. And sometimes I'll just throw in new ones every now and again throughout the week because I get bored, and that's what I do. So I appreciate everybody that does it, and I love that I get the support that I do, but you can't really get anything for it. I do giveaways, public ones, that if you are a current pledged Patreon, you get an automatic entry into, so you don't have to go fill out a form. Other than that, it's all good. It's easy.
And some of your proxies are just mind blowing in terms of the designs you do on the frames, and you don't like me to
Wait till you see the video.
sort of
The word's
No,
fully.
it's just...
yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's
But
a very good word for it.
Just correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think your day job is like anything art related. So
Nope.
I'm just curious, how did you get into doing any of this, and like just how do you stumble across this niche that you filled for yourself in the community, just of like custom designs and frames and proxy making and all that?
Well, when I first started playing was in Revised, and once we started playing tournament-wise, we realized that since Type 1 was, the format at the time, we couldn't afford it. So if we wanted to play test, we needed to do something with it. That started, and I didn't ever like the idea of just Sharpie on a card. So Proxies in 1996 looked terrible. But it started there, just kind of understanding what the frames were, how to do it, the rudimentary software available at the time, because I didn't have access to Photoshop, and then coming back to the game in Scars, I had learned Photoshop by then and saw that there were some publicly available templates for making cards, and kind of jumped in with both feet and was on the MTG Salvation forums for a long time, kind of making my way there and making a very small name for myself. And once Twitter started going, it just kind of snowballed from there. And I was ecstatic when I hit like 100 followers. It was like 100 people want to see what I'm doing, and now it's like 7,700. It's just, I'm grateful every day that I get to keep doing it, and hope to keep doing it for as long as possible. But as far as where do the ideas come from, it's a bit more organic than structured. I kind of just think of, what card do I want to do? How could it be done differently? Could I play with a frame at all? What would look good? And, I throw away like 90% of the work that I do and no one ever sees it, because that
Right.
last little bit is when it gets polished and nice. And, sometimes the chaff will make it out onto Twitter or Patreon, but most of the time it's polished good work. So it's just, I love doing it. And there's not a lot of people doing it, so.
Yeah, for sure. That's really awesome because, this cast specifically is sort of tailor-made to help make the game more affordable and help people find their niche in terms of playing Magic without spending a ton of money. And you sort of carved that niche of proxy making and combined it with sort of the help make the game affordable, because I know you don't sell proxies, but what you do is offer people to trade you cards in sort of a trade system, and then you can send them proxies based on how much value in cards people send you. I mean, I know I've gotten several of my EDH commanders just blinged out in terms of interesting designs, in terms of like custom frames and all that stuff. I have a Temet Vizier of Nakatumen or whatever that I requested that you did like the Amonkhet frame for, the Masterpiece frame, but it's Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! Because he's the Egyptian pharaoh. Just brilliant stuff that you can never really think of, but you've sort of just helped this proxy making thing fund your own collection in a way.
Oh, sure, yeah. I mean, I'm not obviously in it for any big financial possibility of it, because there's just
making some giant TCG store and then selling all the cards.
No, because
of course not.
I'm not getting that kind of return whatsoever. I just like putting cards in people's hands and finding a way to do it that allows me to keep doing it while sending them out, and being able to sit down and figure it out. And it's always interesting to hear the feedback on the cards, because to me it's work, right? You know, you go,
right,
I do it, I see every single card I've printed, obviously I've seen, so to see people's visceral response to that the first time they see it and they're just blown away, or when someone plays the Proxy Cube and you know, that first hand everyone is stopping and looking, that first pack everyone's looking at every card, and it's just like, I'd rather play with the cards than look at them. But that's just my perspective. I don't understand the joy that it actually brings people, and I love being able to do that.
Now, if someone wanted to help you out in a give you $1 on your Patreon sort of way, and maybe send you some foils, so you can blank them and never run out, you know, not have to spend your own money on the...
Oh, that'd be... You've done it?
Yeah, I sent you a 1K box, and maybe 40% of it was usable, and I kind of felt, I wish I'd done a better job. So if someone did...
Well, you did get a bunch of it. You did get a bunch of it back. I used all of it for yours, so...
Yeah, I appreciated that. So if someone did want to send you some, like, bulk foils, if they, like, looked it up, that's worth, like, half a cent as a foil, and they're like, you know, it's just sitting there... What sets, what do they look for? Like, what are some things that you can't use, and what are some things that you can use if you're just looking to blank foils for your own use?
Sure. And I've never actually broached this topic before, so anyone who's actually interested in it is like scrambling for pen and paper.
Yeah, this is a really good question.
Anything older than Conflux is unusable.
Interesting.
It's literally unusable. It's almost bulletproof. You'll have to scrub it for like 5 minutes to get the ink off of it.
Even using something as polar as acetone?
No, using pure acetone.
Woo.
That's what I use.
So, I mean, as somebody who works with cards a lot of the time, I never really noticed any vast difference in foil quality, specifically starting at Conflict. So why is it that set is like the cutoff point?
I have no idea. That's just, I've taken from probably I don't want to say 7th edition, because you don't want to touch 7th edition foils unless you're selling them. Yeah. Don't blank 7th edition foils. It's a bad idea.
It's no big deal. It's just a wall of swords. Ah!
Yeah. I found what did I have? A Phyrexian Hulk 7th edition foil. I didn't even know I had it. It's like $20. And then nothing in... Well, as far as the print quality, maybe they just... maybe that's when Cardamundi US started printing them. I have no idea what happened that made it different. But there are some sets post-Conflux that you also can't use because of the printing process, and that's the Scars block and I think it's M11 and M12, whatever the two core sets were during Scars block, because the foil is actually printed and not a foil layer. Ooh. So it's a white plastic card with a printed foil layer with the printed normal print on top of that. So you try to blank it, you just get a white plastic card.
Is that going to be useless for foil peel alteration as well?
You can do nothing with those whatsoever unless you want a white plastic card for some reason.
That sounds cool.
You can't even blank them and draw on them because it is literally plastic.
Oh, but would they be good for a dry erase type thing if you wanted?
Yeah, it'd probably be a good thing. I've seen some people with cubes that have basically dry erase cards that you draw your tokens.
So you don't have a million tokens. You're just here you go.
Sure, yeah. You just draw whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine who runs a Twitter account called Infinite Tokens, I think it is, or something like that. And she does dry erase custom tokens, and I use them a lot specifically for Temet because he makes all kinds of garbage. And if you want to...
Some stuff, the power and
I
toughness
can send
changes.
JJ the link. Yeah, I can send JJ the link to that Twitter account so that you can make orders from her too. But there's a lot of interesting variations you can make just to customize your own playstyle for proxies. Like, I've gotten proxies from the Proxy guy that have, like, my dog and my wife's cat on them for cat and dog tokens. Like, just all that kind of really cool stuff.
My favorites were the ones that your brother did the photographs for.
The dual lands.
I really enjoyed that project.
Those are gorgeous, yeah. So my brother travels a lot for his major. His college career was wildlife and wilderness exploration, outdoor leadership, like sort of survival stuff. And I asked him to send me pictures of all the places he's been, and then I sent them to Proxy Guy, and he had them printed onto beta frame foil dual lands. So I have like Bayou, Tundra, all the 10 with just different variations of real world locations just out in the middle of nowhere that he's traveled to, and those are gorgeous. They're in my cube right now.
With your brother's name as the artist.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice, you got the photo credit.
Yep. Well, yeah. It's just illustrated for those, but yeah, I could have done photo. That would have been interesting. Little camera
That's
icon.
something good to know. Like, just if you don't waste your own time, which foils are good to blank. So hey, next time I send you a bunch, I won't send you scars or pre-conflicts.
Yeah, the absolute best sets are like Cons Block are really good. Cons Block, the first Conspiracy is real good. Iconic Masters, I think, is really good also, actually. One of the more recent Master sets is very easy.
Interesting.
And easy, when I say easy, I mean like literally 5 seconds.
That stuff wipes off with a wet thumb.
Almost. You probably could.
I wonder if the Shards of Alara premium pack foils were just sort of like a test run for like the shards quality, or like...
My understanding of those is that they're actually printed the same way as the Scars block. That they don't blank. That's what I've heard. I've never had a chance to try to blank them. But some stuff is just bulletproof.
Yeah, I'm just curious if like a Shards of Alara premium pack card is foiled separately or differently than just like a random Jund panorama you might open up.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, I mean, you mentioned the dual land project that I gave you, but what are some of your other like favorite just all-time projects that you've just really enjoyed pouring your heart into over the past few years?
Well, I really enjoyed doing the 2 cubes. And I'll say that, with a big asterisk that says I don't want to do that again. Because, I mean, people know TSG, Tristan Gregson. We were in Vegas in 15, and we were playing with this cube. And I'd met him like 2 days prior. And Jason, both of you were in that house also. And
yes.
There was a night, I mean, he ran cubes like all day Saturday, like 8 a.m. till whenever they went to the other house to do the party with Gavin and them. And Robot Large, Mike Ringer and I were staying there to play again. So it was Mike and I and 6 other basically random people, and we were going to cube. And TSG looked over his shoulder as he was leaving, wondering if he was ever going to see it. Just the look on his face was just... He understood how much he was potentially losing if something happened when he wasn't there. And that stuck with me, and I was trying to get him to understand how much his cube was worth because he only knew how much he paid for it.
Oh, jeez.
So what I told him was, because I knew he had collector's edition power in it, which is fine. I said, are the beta duels real? He said, yeah. I said, okay, do you know how much Underground Sea is now? And this is 2015. He goes, well, I paid $500 for it. I said, it's $3,000. And he went, oh. And he just kind of got this idea of how much he was actually hauling around in that case. So I said, what if I did a travel version of it for you? We'll do the whole thing, sans basic lands, and then you can take it whenever you travel, you go to the LGS or whatever, and you're not carrying around like $30,000 in cards in a nice, easy, concealable case, right? So I did that project, and it took a very long time because, blanking 600 cards is not fun. And then 2017 comes around, and Vegas is again, and he's not going to make it. So I have to somehow produce a cube to do this again. So I redid every card from scratch for myself using the same list, the current list at the time. And I have a 630 card powered cube, 100% proxy except for the basics. Which, I don't know if you've played it, DJ, but Jason has.
I played it a lot, and I've forced green, and I always have a good time forcing green in that cube.
I have not played this cube, but I would absolutely love to the next time.
It's a good list.
Minneapolis and or Vegas or something.
I'll be in Milwaukee in a couple of weeks.
So will I. I will probably be working most of the time, but I might end up being able to.
Maybe I'll bring it because I wasn't going to, but maybe I'll bring it.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe I can get my flight delayed or come in earlier or something like that.
So it's TSG's cube. It's a really there's power.
That's a real good cube. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good mix, and then there's like 30 bonfire of the damned, so everyone can get a bonfire. So that's good.
You know,
did you get bonfired out, Jason?
No, see, he doesn't even know. They went right over DJ's head. There's like 4 people groaning right now. 2 of them being Jason and myself. There's very few people who will understand that.
Fireball, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, I get it. I know,
yeah. Now you get it, yeah.
Yeah, now I get it. That's an old reference, Jesus.
Well, it's still funny.
2010, 2011, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, that is old. Whew.
It's an old meme, but it checks out. All right.
Those were the cards they were looking for.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a good cube. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I mean, part of Cube is like, aha, look what I got. But at the same time, it's like, do you want to take that to Vegas? People.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
People
anyone that's got something like that.
The proxied Liliana that you gave Corbin as a gift, people stole that from him.
Seriously?
Yeah. So they'll steal anything. Like, he got a bunch of his stuff stolen at the house in Vegas.
Oh, so, yeah.
You think
the only thing I remember from that was like a cryptic command and something else.
Yeah.
Like a Kiki-Jiki, yeah.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, and we had to kick everyone out, but yeah. I didn't know that. Why didn't people tell me this? Like, I can print him another one.
Well,
I love getting that stuff out.
That wasn't the issue. The issue was, like, he felt violated because he just threw his stuff in the corner at the house where he was paying to stay. And nobody who was staying there took his stuff, so it was just some rando we invited over. And when something like that can happen, you're like, man, what if my cube grew legs?
Yeah, so, they weren't even invited. A whole bunch of people just showed up.
That house was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, crazy is a very good word for that house.
The stuff we can talk about on the podcast was crazy. The stuff we can't talk about on the podcast was actual insane. From
15?
Yeah, with the broken shower door and the croquet in the backyard.
It's not croquet. It's salmon ball.
Modified croquet.
Well, alright, JR was not very good at it. It was fun, though. Yeah, it was a good time. Not a lot of sleep.
Nope. That was the least I've slept at a GP, probably, and I blame Kevy for that.
He wasn't even awake on Saturday. Like, the whole day.
Was
literally was asleep for 20 hours.
That was because of Friday night. We were still up at, like, 8 a.m. drinking war milk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was...
I don't know why you guys did that. That's disgusting.
Because he was playing me his band's demos. And
okay, for the however many people other than Jason and myself who don't know what war milk is, it's milk and Kraken rum.
Yep, you don't really...
It sounds wonderful first thing in the morning, or really, really late at night.
It was really, really late at night. It was the kind of late at night where the sun's up and then people are going to work.
In Vegas, guys.
It's okay. We've lost everybody at this point. I'm happy.
They're like, what are old people on this podcast about Vegas 3 years ago?
These people, like, they're patrons and they've only listened to the cast for a year. They're like,
it's by the time this comes out, which is good, it'll be after the first of the month, so no one will have time to delete their pledge.
Got him.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, 1 day late.
Yeah, well,
I was getting that glass too.
We'll make it worth it to continue to subscribe. Patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. Do you want your glasses, huh? Don't change your pledge, idiot.
Breaking bolt time. Breaking bolt time.
Oh, yeah, break and bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
So one of the other pledges, or one of the other Patreon perks that you can get if you're a pledge, is access to spreadsheets that categorize and list all of our picks of the week and our breaking bulk going back to, I think it's May 2017, which is a really good value. And so speaking of breaking bulk, Jason, I have a Black Dragon's Maze Common for you.
Dragon's Maze? It's the current incursion? That's the only one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. What is it? Nickel?
I don't even know if it's buy listable, but this card is just absurd in Commander.
Yeah.
I actually play this card a lot. It is black and 2 generic instant. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard. You gain 3 life for each card exiled this way. That doesn't seem like it's a lot, but when you play this against Marin and then they read it, and then they read it again, and then they just sort of lose because now you're at 85 life and you made them real sad. I've buy listed these for like dimes before, but actually this is one of my personal holds where I think this is just another Command Zone-esque card where if they mention it 1 or 2 times, then maybe it goes like $1.
Sure.
The card's just very, very powerful for what it does. I know I play Rakdos Charm in basically every deck that can afford it. Every deck plays Bojuka Bug, obviously, but this is just an instant speed getcha for just one person, ruin their day, and then now you're sitting very healthily at 50-something life. It's just a card that I would absolutely pull out of bulk. If you get Dragon's Maze bulk, you're not really happy if it's missing the wear and tears. There's really nothing else you can sort of dig for. Maybe 2 or 3 other dimes, but that's about it. This is one of them. This is just a card where I put them in a big box. I don't like to buy list them for dimes just because I think it could be worth more someday.
That's good, man. Hey, since we're doing guest Proxy Guy, do you have a break in bulk?
Foil commons from Khans of Tarkir and send them to me. Pull them out of bulk, put them into a box, and send them to
Break
me.
them out of bulk?
Hey, I mean...
I guarantee I will send you nothing in return for them.
Dude, Jason, I get so many bulk foils. Just people don't pick them out. I don't know.
Well,
Whenever I pick
foils are hard to
like
sell.
A stack of yeah. Some people just... It's not a rare. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's
even the rare. Yeah.
Not a rare, I don't care.
That's going to be on the back of the next shirt.
Breaking bulk.
Yeah,
I have like 3,000 or 4,000 foils to send you.
Yeah, just
fantastic.
Just worthless foils, and then you'll go through and you'll be like, oh, once I take out all the sets you can't use, I have 300 or 400 foils to send you.
You know, I still have most of those, Jason, and the best part about them is they smell exactly like your basement.
Oh, my basement smells delicious.
These don't.
I got them from a smoke. I don't know. I don't even know my basement's. I've moved. Whatever. I'm so defensive right now. How dare you, sir?
You're like, how dare basement smell? Who knew?
My basement.
Well, the benefit of sending me stuff is eventually you'll see it, in a cube or in someone's EDH deck, because primarily that's what people are looking for. They're not looking for. Generally speaking, they're not looking for sometimes I'll do whole decks. I did one for Jason. That was a lot of fun. It was more fun because of how.
Nobody's ever asked you for like a modern or standard deck, right? Please say no.
No, just vintage. Okay. Couple vintage, couple 2-3. No, I wouldn't do it because what's the point?
Yeah, but vintage, a lot of the tournaments allow proxies anyway, and I would rather have something gorgeous than just sharpied on basics.
Yeah. Which is fine. I've done maybe 2 for sure vintage decks. Jason Joe's was a lot of fun to do just because of the challenge. Plus, I got to do an expansion symbol, which I don't get to do very frequently.
Yeah, so the expansion symbol was like the tragedy comedy mask with it was the comedy mask with my facial hair. It's a good caricature.
It came out real well.
Really small, it did. Everyone was like, "Oh, that's him." And
it did.
All the art was.
And you own every card with that because you won the test print Lotus.
That's true. Yeah.
In Vegas.
Yeah.
So I have none of them, though I can print an infinite amount of them.
Yeah, but that'll just drive the value down below free.
The reserve list is back again.
Below 0.
In Proxy Guy form.
Actually, in some regard, that's not totally false because there are some projects that I'll do for people as just, for being good people or for doing something with the community. And someone else, I'll post them on Twitter, and someone will say, I need to get that. What can I give you for it? And I'm saying, I'm sorry, that was just for this person. I'm not printing any more of those. So there is some reserve list kind of play there, but it's not like I'm not going to print another Lotus. Good. I'm just not going to print another one exactly like that.
Good.
I want people to think they're special, to know that it's
that it has to be special,
that it's unique, that it's literally unique. It's the only one on the planet. That's kind of cool.
I do like that. I appreciate the hookup, and I'm glad I could send you a box of smelly, useless foils.
They weren't all useless. Come on, you did have a lot of conflicts in there, which helped.
Well, I just went through every foil.
Plus, you picked Oath. That's like my favorite vintage deck, which makes it much easier.
Yeah, it was.
Both vintage decks I've made were Oath.
It was the Grizzle brand Oath.
So you said anything before Conflux is unusable or after?
Anything before Conflux is unusable, and then Scars block. New Phyrexia might be usable, but there wasn't, I haven't had very much experience with it because I haven't had many foils of it. Like M11 and M12 and Scars block are no good. And then some of them, like Origins, they work, but they're tough. They take a lot of work.
So it's not worth it. All right.
Not when you're doing 600 of them.
Yeah. I have a red Urza's Saga sorcery that's been printed 3 times.
3 times?
Well, okay, so one is anthologies, which is a weird set. Was white bordered, but it has the colored expansion symbols. Not a lot of people. There's like anthologies and Battle Royale. Yeah. Every once in a while, you'll get like a 2/2 Mary Cat Warrior instead of a 2/3 that's got a white border. You're like, what the crap is this? So it was in anthologies.
Yeah, anthologies has that same problem that Chronicles does. People don't realize that it's not the original set.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll say it'll have the date centered at the bottom, and it'll be like 1993 to 2000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it'll just be a white bordered Iceland brushland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are still $10. So.
Yeah, the Pendelhaven's really annoying because people mix that one up all the time.
My guess was Chain Lightning because I'm bad at this, so it's not Chain
Lightning.
No, Chain Lightning's been printed way more than that, but Urza's Saga.
Yep. This will surprise you. This is actually nearly $2 retail.
I'm gonna feel like an idiot if you say it too, because I probably do know it, but I just can't pull it. Urza's Saga.
It's something that you probably don't necessarily think to pull out of bulk, and if you go back and double check, you're like, "Wow, I can't believe I almost shipped that."
Urza's Saga Red.
Urza's Saga Red uncommon, multiple printings.
I could cheat.
You could cheat.
I want to say Acidic Soil, but I think Acidic Soil has had fewer printings than that.
Yeah, and Acidic Soil is another one. You're like, "Wow, I can't believe that's that much." The card is Goblin Offensive.
Oh, yep.
Put X Goblin tokens into play. Treat them as 1/1 red creatures.
They certainly are.
That's some pretty good flavor text on Goblin Offensive there. So that's a card that was in Plane Chase, Urza's Saga, and Anthologies. So let's call that 2 printings. Nearly $2 for this. And this is something I just found a whole swath of when I was sorting through Urza's Saga that I bought for, from the LGS. So I mostly can do it. But it's been a while since I was like as deep in Nickels as DJ was, so I'm looking up a lot more stuff than I used to a couple years ago, and I'm really glad I looked this up because this is something I wasn't sure if you pulled or not. There's all kind of stuff that used to be really good. I'm like, is the Stronghold Goblin, the 3/4, the Bomber or whatever, is that still good? So it's there's some weird stuff that used to be a pick that isn't anymore, and there's some stuff that just keeps going up and up. And I think it's like Crankodex and Perforos and all kind of stuff. This just this spams Goblin tokens onto the board. That's a
good one because
it's almost
there's a lot of casual cards that you can sort of intuitively know to look up because they provide a unique effect or a specific effect that other cards don't really do. Like, if you don't know what Korath Knight does and you see it, and you've never seen the card before, you're like, oh, I'm going to look this up because I've never seen that ability. But just a card that specifically makes Goblin tokens isn't sort of intuitively like, oh, that's a $2 card. Like, it's just sort of a bad Krenko's command, right? But, or it's a bad Beetleback Chief, but, like, just the number of printings and the fact that it is an X spell, even though the X is absurdly overcosted, it's just a unique X spell that makes goblins, and it just fills that niche that nobody else really thinks of as a niche.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I mean, not everyone's going to go back to Saga to look for stuff.
Right.
They might not like the frame or whatever.
Or they don't get a lot of it. Like, if you were the kind of person that's selling your collection and you just got a bunch of random crap like that, like, what are the odds it's not a gigantic collection? Chances are people who are selling out have been playing for around 3 years. People sell out multiple times, so it's hard to just get that kind of stuff in collections. The older the cards, the more likely they were to have sold out to someone else earlier. So
sure.
The farther we get from 1996, the less likely I feel is... Well, Saga was like 98, so it's 20 years ago. It's been a while, so
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep.
That's ridiculous. Bought boosters of that. That's stupid.
That was the first... No, Legacy was the first set I ever bought a booster box of with my own money.
Alliances was mine. Almost got a full set.
Mirrored and Besieged was the first booster box I spent my own money on.
Jeez.
Wow. I pulled 3 Tezzeret out of a booster box of MBS.
Yes.
That was a good box.
Ready for this? I mowed lawns in 1996, so my friend and I could split a display case of 10 4th edition decks, and we each got 5 decks. The guy at the LGS...
Those are still randomized, right? Those weren't pre-cons.
No,
yet, right?
no, they were just starter decks.
2 rares.
That was the LGS. No, it was 3. It was 3.
Decks.
That's the LGS where I still have a case. So I've been doing business with that guy for over 20 years. And yeah, he's like, you should get the decks because they have the basic lands. I was like, oh, and you got 6 fewer rares that way. You only got 30 rares versus 36. But I was like, oh, basic lands. And I still like the Christopher Rush 4th edition Forest and the Mark Poole 4th edition Island. So actually I like the mountains too.
Versus say revised or unlimited.
Well, I mean versus like Tempest or Mirage.
Sure.
No, I mean,
but yeah, I mean, yeah, 4th edition looks better than revised certainly, and I think unlimited looks better.
Oh yeah.
There's no tap symbol; it's just got the text. I grew to appreciate unlimited, but at the time, all I played with was 4th edition basics. Especially those Mark Poole Islands, the dark blue with the one that looks like it was Bird of Paradise practically. Yeah, that's my shit. So yeah, now I don't even give a crap. I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll buy a case and a half and give another half a case to somebody else. And back then it was just like, I'm going to mow lawns all summer for 5 decks. As
an interesting aside to the island you just talked about, one of the original islands is a digital piece of art. Did you know that?
Ooh, which one?
I did not.
Oh yeah, the Mark Poole one.
If you look at them, one of them is color shifted and flipped horizontal.
Yeah, that's right.
It's completely digital. Thanks to Mike Linneman for pointing that out to me. There's no way I'm smart enough.
I feel like I read about that in Duelist magazine. So much of what I knew was
that would have been about then too. So yeah, that and like Top Black,
the Mark Poole one.
Yeah,
it's one of the
one that looks like the sunset.
I don't know if it was in alpha or if it was in beta. There's the sunset one is I think the reversed and color shifted one.
And A is the sunset one where it's just like a very pinkish color. When
you see them side by side, it's very obvious that it's been flipped and just kind of color.
That was a quick way to fill a hole in the set, and that's not my favorite, but I think it still looks good.
Yeah, because they added the 4th basic. So there you go. I'm full of useless knowledge of Magic in 1995.
Well, it's only useless from a finance perspective, which is why everyone's listening to this podcast. But
buy reserve list cards. There's no better time to get in and no better time to sell them. There you go. That's all my finance for old school cards.
The best time to buy is 1996, and the best time to sell is never.
I sold in 1996, so that was not a good time to sell.
Well, I could have bought revised boosters or unlimited boosters for the same as 4th edition, and I chose 4th edition because they were newer.
You got a lot less basic lands that way. Plus, you got land tax. There's no land tax
in Unlimited.
No.
The Mana Vault's got a weird T in Revised. My rare's a land. This is bullshit. If I wanted rares for land, I would have bought Ice Age.
It would be useful.
Ice flow.
Lava tubes.
I actually, I have a bulk rare cube, and I have for the longest time tried to get the mana base of that thing to work, but it's next to impossible because there are very, very few cycles of basic lands that are both bulk and rare. Rare cycles of lands are just generally worth more than $1, so...
Well, Island is rare. Just remember that. It is.
I know.
So you get one.
Island
I guess,
that's also an island.
Do you count uncommons as rares and sets without rares?
I was
starting
to at the end. Yeah, like I was starting to at the end. I was allowing what's the Forget? I let Forget in the cube. Blue, awful faithless looting.
Because I think you could use the Arabian's Mountains then. Not that you really want to stock a cube with those, but
no, the basics were separate. But I ended up using like the Ice Age cycle of lands, and they were not good. So
yeah,
it's a fun idea for a cube, just because like when a card became not bulk, it just pissed me off. Normally, I'm like, yeah, this card jumped out of bulk status, and now I get to make money off it. But like, I had Need for Speed in that cube, and that card just shot up from like 30 cents to $4, and I was really pissed off because I had to take it out. I had to take it out.
You know why? It's because of the Need for Speed video game series.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
popularized that phrase, and also the popular Tom Cruise film Top Gun, where he said, "I have the need for speed."
Felt the need.
Then he took off his shirt and he rubbed bare chest with that dude from Revenge of the Nerds. I think
people underestimate the impacts of cinema on MTG Finance nowadays.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jason.
They do.
Especially 80s films.
Yeah. They're like,
yeah,
a movie from
that's meta.
From 1985 couldn't possibly affect MTG finance prices in 2018. You'd be wrong.
Couldn't possibly affect. And look what Need for Speed happened. Look what happened to that
stupid
car.
Idiot for doubting me.
Yep. Someone watched old, Navy propaganda films and decided they wanted to buy a bunch of Magic.
It's possible that movie made my wife's father become a Navy pilot. There's a non-zero chance that's what happened. And
my understanding is there were Navy recruiters
in theaters,
because of that movie. Yeah.
And those guys ended up like
come be a pilot, which you can't
unclogging
do.
toilets on a submarine. It's like, oh, you're colorblind, but you're still signed in for 4 years.
And you wore glasses.
Yep.
Good job.
Yeah, you passed out on the thing where we test how many G's you can take, so you'll never be a fighter pilot. But good news, you're deployed to a submarine, and you share a rack with 2 other dudes, and the submarine smells like farts because we can't air it out. So, yeah, enjoy.
That's hotboxing.
I mean, wasn't that a thing in World War II? People just like the number of statistical morons in the army like skyrocketed because everybody wanted to fake their intelligence test to get like a job that was low enough so that you wouldn't be sent onto the front lines.
That is the lowest job. Here's a rifle. Go run at the enemy. How hard is that?
Well, yeah, but people were like, I want to be patriotic enough to get my wife to fuck me, but like
so
also
join the National Guard. This isn't difficult.
Yeah, when
decision making wasn't at its peak in the 1920s.
When Tojo shows up in Eugene, Oregon, I'll be waiting for him.
And it did.
All right, that's quite a wild tangent. That was fun. What do we do now, DJ? You're
this is where you just
you're steering this aircraft carrier. As long as we're talking about the Navy,
those turn slowly. We're not turning slowly. The episode with Top Gun references and planets.
I mean, we talked about Scooby-Doo in a previous episode. Top Gun seemed a little bit more relevant. I don't know.
At least there was a card involved.
Yeah.
I forget which one. I think it was shirtless beach volleyball. I don't know why everyone thinks Tom Cruise is gay. As he's playing shirtless volleyball where a song literally called Playing with the Boys plays in the background. Oh, man.
And now Val Kilmer looks like the guy that ate Val Kilmer.
You know, he sometimes looks like a bag of crap, and then, like, 2 years ago, he did a movie where he was in prison, and he looked cut. And it's like, what?
Who's this guy?
It's like, hey, Val Kilmer, here's a direct-to-Netflix movie. Okay.
Redbox only.
My pay. We're paying you $725,000. Interesting. Do you need anything from Val? Yeah, lose 60 pounds and put on 15 pounds of pure muscle. I can do that. In 3 months. Perfect.
It was like,
you have to provide your own trailer. Excellent.
Pay me in advance.
Yeah. Yeah, that $750,000 will really get me out of a couple jams.
Takes it straight to the blackjack table.
And then Val Kilmer did an AMA on Reddit, and he was just the coolest guy.
Oh, sure.
He
always seemed like he was very down to earth.
I don't know.
Like, what did he say? What were some of his answers?
Well, just
probably like yes, and of course, things like that.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. Well, he would just like people would give him memey questions, and he would like meme responses back with like quotes from his movies and shit. Like he was with it. It might have been his publicist, but like some of the stuff he was saying, it just seemed like he's got a like you don't think it. You know, you don't like. I imagine what Val Kilmer's voice sounds like, but when he starts typing in that voice, you're like, "That's probably Val Kilmer. That's a dude who everyone has told he was awesome since he was 19."
Yeah, at least.
But he didn't seem douchey. It was weird. It was like everyone tells me I'm awesome, and that's cool, but I put on my $250 leather pants just like everybody else, one leg at a time, and then I go be a cattle rancher. So yeah, I don't know. Val Kilmer's awesome. Apparently, that's one of those ones that could go either way. Someone like Greg Kinnear, where someone's like, "Dude, Greg Kinnear is a dick," and you're like, "Yeah, sure. I see that. I could see Greg Kinnear being a dick." And someone's like, "Greg Kinnear pulled my mother out of a flaming taxi cab after a crash." Yeah. I'm like, "Yeah, good on Greg. I always knew he was a stand-up dude." So Val Kilmer is one of those dudes you could just see going either way. But apparently, he's a super chill dude. So my MTG Finance tip is Val Kilmer's great, and Heat is his favorite
and watch Real
movie.
Genius if you haven't.
Oh yeah, Real Genius is great. He should do more comedies.
I have seen like 15 minutes of Heat, so
what?
It's like 9 hours long.
It's 2.5, unless you watch the 3.5 hour director's cut.
At least
Michael Mann's the best director in North America. It's a long. What would you cut from Heat? Tell me 5 minutes of fat you could.
Probably not those 15 minutes that I saw.
There was like 9.
Suicide? All right.
There was like nine threads in that movie that just didn't really need to. I mean, it's a movie about people robbing a bank, right?
No, it's not. It's not a movie.
But it is.
How dare
At its
you?
heart, it's a heist movie. That goes real bad. And then gets replayed in real life on LA a couple years later.
All right. We're not doing this. I'm not going to let you upset me. You came on this podcast and you're like, I'm going to say something to upset him.
Yeah, I absolutely knew we were going to talk about Heat.
You were right. You got a whole list, I'm sure, is like, here's topics.
Yep. That's it.
He's got a list written on like
nuance. What does he never said out loud that I can possibly rile him up about?
He's got a list written on a plastic shards of Alara foil that like
he's going to get pissed if I talk about Heat. You brought up Heat. I'm just saying.
Say Mighty Ducks is a movie about a hockey team. See what he says.
It is.
God damn it.
It's called The Mighty Ducks.
But it wasn't just the hockey team, because the mightiest duck of all was Coach Gordon Bombay, who learned that he was a mighty duck when he quacked at his boss, Mr. Duckworth, and got fired from the law firm.
Exactly. It's redemption. It's still about a hockey team.
He was the mightiest duck. The hockey team taught him to become a mighty duck. Don't you know anything?
Yeah, I saw the movie in the theater.
I did too.
I saw the second one in the theater too.
I saw the
based on the first one.
I saw the third one in theaters, so
I haven't seen the third one. What's the point? That's like seeing Major League 3. There's no point.
They made a Major League 3? But that
Back to the minors?
That probably went straight to VHS, right?
No, I'm pretty
sure. Did it have anybody from the first? It probably had like
Tom Berenger's in it.
Tom Berenger's in the third one? I thought they would get somebody like Corbin Burnson who like
had
a bad gambling problem. Oh, Tom Berenger's the coach.
He's the coach. That makes sense. This is everything I know, and it's literally from the poster because I've never seen the movie. You're gonna look it up now.
That's cool.
Back to the
Tom Berenger's the kind of dude where they're like, we're doing a sequel to The Substitute 4. He's like, I'm in. They're like, we couldn't get anybody.
This whole episode's going to be an after hours.
Ah, fuck it. Who cares? We're talking about anything financially relevant. We got a guy who doesn't sell cards on. All right,
5 minutes of here's our picks of the week and our breaking bulk. And the next hour and a half will be on
Patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and give us something like $10 or $20 and you can access the spreadsheet and you can just skip this whole episode.
Just use that. You'll just put your picks on there.
Hey, I don't know what you thought. We got a guy on here who doesn't sell cards.
I sell cards sometimes, just not at the ratio you do. I'm going to correct you.
Don't correct me. So, he doesn't sell his proxies. So
correct.
I don't know what you thought you were going to get with this episode, but we would clearly rather talk about movies from the 1980s and 90s. And
clearly.
Do we have picks of the week?
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
My pick of the week is Endless Ranks of the Dead. It is not a card that I am picking because I think it will go up in value. It is a card that consistently sells out for me on TCG Player. So I am picking it as sort of a card where if you have a lot of store credit or that you want to convert into cash, or if you just have like people nearby who have trade binders, or if you're still somebody who trades, or just any sort of like system for which you want to convert Magic cards into actual liquid currency, Endless Ranks of the Dead is probably one of the top like 10 cards that I sell on TCG Player most quickly. The others being like Ristic Study, Coat of Arms, Parallel Lives, Soul Ring, Lightning Greaves, just like those commander staples that are worth selling as individual cards on TCG Player. Like Command Tower is probably one of my higher selling cards, but it can't sell by itself because it's 99 cents. Yep. Endless Ranks of the Dead is just one where like I'm not saying pick it up right now because it doubles. I'm just saying this card has a very high velocity on the selling platforms that I use.
And sometimes it can be just a loss leader where like, oh, but this guy bought 5 zombie tokens for $1 each, or he bought some other stuff.
Yeah.
So like you can, if the card's lower than the threshold, people will go through your inventory and start buying the rest of the stuff for the deck. So
yeah, it's a good enabler for like the one guy who like if they buy it in this Ranks of the Dead, then they buy your 89-cent Diregraph Ghoul or some other crappy zombie card, and then your Eldritch Moon back double-sided zombie tokens for 99 cents. Yeah, that's a good point. It is a card that is also an enabler of other strategies and stuff. Like it sells your Diregraph Captains if you want to start selling those on TCG. Like it's just a card that people bundle cards with.
And you just buy that stuff on like a 10-15% spread, not giving a shit, just because you know it's gonna help move up stuff out of your inventory. So
sure.
Yep.
And on TCG, you absolutely have to have some of that inventory that's under $1.
I list everything, man.
Yeah, listing everything on TCG is great just because that $2 minimum catches people from just burning you completely.
Sure.
Every now and again, I get an order that's like, somebody spent $2.25 on this one card, but chances are that you probably spent like nothing on that one card anyway, so the only real loss is your time of like packing and shipping the order. But those orders are rare enough for me as it is. Like, every now and again, I get that one guy who's like, oh, I'm going to put together 18 cards that are worth total of $2.02 just so I can get it, but whatever, that's rare.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't happen very often.
They're trying to hit exactly $2.
Yeah, and then you throw a 79-cent stamp on that and feel real bad, and what are you going to do?
Yeah, but again, in that situation, you're losing nothing. It's not like they're making, like, a 10-cent order and you have to lose a whole $1 or $2. It's just like you wash.
Yep. Yeah.
When's the last time I picked Eldritch Evolution? Can you check our spreadsheet that's available to our patrons at patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery?
If I can spell Eldritch correctly.
At what level of pledge?
Don't ask me that, man.
$10 a month is the You have never picked Eldritch Evolution on our spreadsheet. Corbin picked it earlier in April of this year.
Oh, wow.
I like it. I don't like picking Corbin sloppy seconds per se. So
6 months later?
Has it gone up since? What do you call it at? Or do we not have that information?
I think he called it at $1.50, and I think it's $3.
Oh, it's $2.50 now. Wow. So I'm calling it real late. I remember agreeing with him at the time. If you want a bonus pick, I like Rite of Flourishing under $2, but I'm still going to go with Eldritch Evolution as my pick. But not going in the spreadsheet bonus, glad I listened to the podcast. Rites of Flourishing is just one of those cards where like group hug people like it, but also people that are going to just go fast because they're green. You're playing some black horse shit in EDH, and they're like, bah! They can really take advantage of it. Cards that seem like they're symmetrical, but really aren't because one player is prepared to take advantage of it and the others aren't. Rites of Flourishing is just one of those cards where it's just like, yeah, you'll get some minor value out of it, but it doesn't matter because I'm just going to bury you in Angry Omnath tokens or something. So it got a Commander reprint. All right. It's Kaneos and Tiro. Is that their names?
It's Kanayanos and something.
Kaneos and Tiro, I bet. They have names, sir.
How do you spell it? How do you spell it?
Kynaaios.
All right, that's pretty accurate, actually. God damn it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Kaneos and Tiro.
Yep.
There we go. I learned something today.
You think I'm gonna fuck up Tiro? Like, what do you take me for? Yeah, Commander 2016. This got a reprint. It's under $2. I like it.
Yep.
So, but hey, I still like Eldritch Evolution more. Some of that stuff's gonna pop. Green stuff in EDH. Who knew? I wonder what percentage of my picks of the week have been green EDH cards going back. It's just like, hey, I mean, that's green plus X. That's what you play in EDH, or you're fucking up. You're behind. So I don't know. I like all kind of stuff from green. I kind of think people have come around on Lord Windgrace. It may be too late but here's the thing. Like, everyone's like, I don't really care about Commander 2018, but then, like, nobody cares about Guilds of Ravnica. There's, like, who gives a shit about, there's, 8 new commanders, and no one cares about any of them? Like, the most built one on EDH Rec is Niv Mizzet, and that's just every other Niv Mizzet. It has the same goddamn abilities. So no one's really building new EDH decks on the basis of Guilds of Ravnica. I hope the next set's different.
It's interesting, because...
But...
it's interesting just because last week's interview with Gavin, there were so many people on Reddit who hated on C18, and then Gavin came out and said that 17 and 18, while received as polar opposites on social media platforms like Reddit and Twitter, are apparently two of the best-selling sets, even outpacing 16. So, like, 16 was arguably one of the sets that had the most reprint equity in terms of just value of cards reprinted. Like, oh, we got Burgeoning. Oh, we got all these other cards. This is insane. But, like, 2016 apparently didn't sell as well as 17-18.
Well,
even though
if
both
2018
of those sets were
had the same MSRP as 2017, it would have been better received, I think.
I agree with that.
Because I like 2018. The Lord Windgrace deck, calling it a Lands Matters deck, if they hadn't said that on social media, shit, that might have made the people have been like, oh, hey, there's a Lands Matters sub-theme. But people like Lord Windgrace as a card, so when people are like, oh, I don't buy the deck, I just pay $4 for Lord Windgrace, and then... Because what do you need out of that deck? Windgrace's Judgment, Crash of Rhino Beetles, and if you don't have an Avenger Zendikar, or you do have an Avenger Zendikar, but it's in every other green deck, because holy shit, Avenger Zendikar.
No, there's also the... Like, the other Druid was, like, the slam dunk of the
Turn Tibber Sower?
Yeah, the one where when your lands go to the graveyard, you get to make Saprolings, and you...
The dude's 50 cents, so, like, yeah.
No, but that card's... I'm just saying power level.
Yeah,
that
card's nuts, but, you know, no one's going to buy the deck just for that. Like, if you're like, oh, there's $15 worth of singles I need out of the deck, I'm not going to spend $40. So, I feel like if they hadn't been like, this is Lands Matter, for whatever reason, people are coming around on Lord Windgrace. They were hoping guilds would be, you know... the like Assassin's Trophy is like the card that goes in the Wind Grace. There aren't even any cards from guilds that go in that deck. So people are coming around on some of these Commander 2018 commanders just because guilds wasn't that exciting. So you're starting to see a resurgence in that a little bit, and I like a lot of the stuff from that deck just going up more. I mean, Realms Uncharted was 50 cents 2 years ago. Now it's 10 times that. So a lot of stuff's popping just on the basis of, hey, it turns out Jund mid-range is a thing people want to play in EDH also. Play grindy cards. Buy Wind Grace's Judgment. So that was... Yep. I don't remember where that rant started. I lost the thread. I'm like, if I keep talking, I will figure out what I want to close on, and I'll just loop it back around. It'll be seamless. No one will know, but then I just kept talking. It wasn't happening.
That's okay. We have basically reached our end point anyway. So, Proxy Guy, where can people find you? I mean, where can people contact you to either acquire proxies through trade, or where can people just hit you up to see your content? What kind of stuff can we expect from you?
Best place to find me is always going to be on Twitter, at the Proxy Guy.
And it is the Proxy Guy, because Jason and I make this mistake consistently.
I was originally going to be that Proxy Guy, and then I thought that sounded very terrible. So I ended up being the. I'm not even sure why I added the, to be honest with you, but yeah. At the Proxy Guy.
Because you're not a Proxy Guy. You were
not a.
The Proxy Guy.
Yes. And not proxies for shoes. Like I get messages all the time for. Apparently people need computer proxies to like buy shoes from Nike. I don't do any of that. What? But, people... No, seriously, because you get... like, that's a thing. That's a completely different rabbit hole.
Okay.
You need computer proxies to buy shoes from Nike?
Yes.
Yeah.
A proxy is something that stands in for something else. So a proxy is a server that you're... I'm going to go down this hole. So your browser, you set up a proxy that says, instead of sending information this way, I'm going to go through this proxy, so it kind of masks my intent, and then I'm going to spam Nike for when they release the new limited edition whatever in size 9. So as soon as it's available, I can buy 3 for whatever, $150 each, and then sell them for $500.
I'm just surprised that people who are buying shoes from Nike are smart enough to customize a proxy for their computer.
Well, you get banned for spamming them, I guess.
Because they resell them, DJ.
Coming from your IP.
Like they have limited releases.
For 3, 5,
And like you can
extremely limited releases. They sell it instantly.
Yep, you can buy one copy, except if you use a proxy, you can buy as many as you want, and then you flip them for 10 times. So why aren't we doing shoe finance?
That's true.
There you go. That's my pick of the week.
I'll put that in the spreadsheet. I don't care.
Nikes. What?
Buy size 9.
We should put confusing stuff in the spreadsheet. Like Nikes or blank foils or fuck you, listen to the episode, idiot. Like just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Corbin's pick of the week this week is just me slamming my hand on the keyboard. Just letters and miscellaneous. And his breaking bulk is Milk Hangover.
I think he's got like a legit migraine, and I don't want to trivialize a migraine because I wouldn't want to get a migraine.
No, you don't. Not at all.
So I'm just gonna be like, oh, that sounds serious, and then let DJ tempt fate.
It is.
DJ's gonna get so many angry emails from gay dudes with migraines.
If you can survive and like withstand the onslaught of Polish people submitting angry emails,
they fuck up they can't spell the email address right. They're selling them to Brainstorm Brewery.